what if your dreams weren't good and they were still becoming reality? Like, at what point does that become a nightmare? And that idea that, like, even Danielle and I, before this, we were having such a complex and funny conversation about dreams, right? All these things that you interpret your subconscious, like funny dreams our siblings have had. And yet, we can talk I feel like philosophically in such a positive way about this, but what if it wasn't positive, right?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Static Shift Resonant Frequency. This week, we're taking a behind-the-scenes look at Episode 5, Dreamland. I'm your host, Rob Sogomonian. I'm a voice actor and founding member of Articul8 Studios, and I'm joined by my fellow founding members, Tiffany Magnuson, Aaron Sikowski, Danielle Card, Jennifer Kellums, and last, but certainly not least, our showrunner, Jason Tibor. We also have joining us the extremely talented roster member, Hannah Scribner. Yay! Welcome to the show, everyone. Let's take a quick minute and introduce ourselves for anybody that's new to the show, starting with our queen, Tiffany Magnuson.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm Tiffany Magnuson. I've been doing voice acting now. Oh my gosh, my camera. I've been doing voice acting now for coming up on 4-ish years on a freelance basis. I do a bunch of other stuff also in my free time. I do some writing. I, have a day job that pays most of the bills and all that good, great stuff. So yeah, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, that's me.
Love it. Aaron, why don't you continue and tell us a little bit about yourself?
To the south of the Ocala National Forest, you will find a redneck community that contains this guy. I am Aaron Sikowski. I'm Florida man. I am a voice actor coming up on 2 years, amateur demo producer, and audio editor. I've done an episode of Static Shift, and I'm currently working on a bunch of other great things. So that's my story.
We got some fun stuff coming up. I'm very excited with what Aaron's working on. It all is looking really and sounding really cool. Danielle, our wonderful Articul8 mommy-8, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? You need to come up with a better rhyme, but...
Yes, we do. We definitely do. Hello, I am Danielle. I'm a theater-trained voice actor, a.k.a. theater kid who found a voice acting class and got sucked in. But yeah, I hail from Michigan and kind of Metro Detroit area. And yeah, very glad to be a part of this lovely community. And yeah, I do voice acting and characters. I love adding emotion. I love being a little, I like pretending to be a mom to this group, I think. As well as being a mom in real life. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. I have a cat,
Aw, and 2 lovely children.
Yes, they are.
And a husband, I guess, but we don't have to talk about him.
He helps.
Jennifer, why don't you introduce yourself to anybody who might be new to our podcast, Resonant Frequency?
Hi, I come from Palm Springs, California, where the temperatures are finally going down. By day, I'm a speech pathologist. By night, I'm a voice actor, and I've been doing this freelance-based regularly for just over 3 years. But I was actually doing this a couple decades ago originally. And I think that's all. There's other things that I do in my day-to-day, but voiceover takes over pretty much everything, as it should.
I love it. Hannah. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Honestly, I've been trying to think of like an Articulamom pun this whole time. And I was like, she's got all 8 arms around us. And I was like, it's getting a little weird before my intro. So I thought I'd wait till after. But that also makes a great intro.
Now, do you actually have 8 arms? Why don't you introduce your arms, your arms, and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name is Hannah. I hail from Michigan, so I hail from the Southwest. I'm like, I really liked that D. That was great. Yeah, I like doing work with Articul8. I love it here. I've got cats. I feel like those are the most important things about me. So
I love it. And finally, Jason, our showrunner, the man from whom Static Shift comes from. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then go ahead and introduce us to Episode 5, Dreamland.
I would love to do all of those things, Rob. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Jason. I live on a ranch. I'm sort of Tiffany's neighbor. If about 5 hours and change of driving could be considered a neighbor, but she's on the other side of the state of Oregon.
Friendly neighbor to the south that you are.
Yes, yes. I try to be a good neighbor. But yeah, so
State Farm is there.
You see, Rob, you went that direction. I was thinking, will you be my neighbor?
Oh, okay. There we go. We got some,
there,
I like Mr.
No,
Rogers
I like
too.
that one. Yeah, that's good.
Mr. Tibors, that's what we'll call him.
Yeah, as you can see, I am from the Pacific Northwest. I have the requisite flannel and stocking cap, which is Bad Hats from Minneapolis, by the way. They're on tour right now. You should go see them. But yeah, I'm a voice actor, drinker of coffee, although today it's tea in my $1 million cup here, and rock on tour. Which brings me to episode 5, Dreamland. So this episode is kind of, I think it's really probably appropriate to think of season 1 of Static Shift in terms of like season 1.0 and then season 1.5. So you've got episodes 1 through 5 and then 6 through 10. And there are a great many differences between kind of what episodes 1 through 5 are all about and then kind of what happens as we get into episode 6. So this is kind of the last of what I would call the maybe non-mythology world building episodes. We're seeing something here that it's definitely related to everything else that has happened up to this point, but in a way that really isn't. It's for sure not clear as you end the episode, and it'll take a little bit, but it will be made clear what the connection of the events in this episode are to the larger narrative.
Well, what I love about this episode is it's, for me, the first episode that really feels grounded. It's not just spooky stuff. It's not just, weird science thing happens and we don't have any kind of an idea of what that was. It, sounds cool. We have an idea that maybe somebody disappeared or whatever. But in this one, we're actually like staying with a couple who are just scared, don't know what's going on, trying to kind of figure out help. You get the sense that they've been trying for a while to kind of figure out what's going on with Corey, I believe is his name. Yep, Corey. So it's nice to kind of have that grounded episode and to have there's a lot of character building in this episode, which I also really enjoy. Not just because I was one of the characters, but listening back to it, again, we recorded this, I don't know, probably 6 months ago. Going back and listening to it, it's like, oh, yeah, like this is actually, I'm feeling a connection to Amanda, to Corey. I'm going to call him Dr. Hijinks, but I know that's not his name. Dr. Ross. But it was the first episode where I really felt like a direct connection to the characters in the episode, as opposed to feeling like I was being entertained by the episode, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and that really was a pretty deliberate decision, and I think also a natural decision for where the story has gone up to this point. There've certainly been moments of high emotion and pain and confusion and things like that, but we see the glimpse of it. We see it kind of in the moment, or maybe you see it, in sort of a reflected way. But as you said, up to this point, there hasn't been something where you're really spending good quality time with characters who they're very actively engaged in this intimate exchange. And I don't know if I had just read something or watched a YouTube video about character development or something, and I thought, oh, I should maybe do more of that. But I really wanted there to be what you just mentioned, Rob, is there to be an emotional center to it, and I'm really trying. I'm a little bit trying not to be super coy about things, but the reasons for that will be made very clear. Once
Well,
you
I
get
definitely
into.
don't want you to spoil anything, and I'm gonna
Oh
also
no,
try in
I'm
this
not
episode to
going
not.
to. Don't worry. Don't worry. You could ask and plead and beg all you wanted, and I wouldn't do it. But
I can
really,
offer you a lot of coffee.
I mean,
let's
Jason,
text me after the show.
Yeah, the silence is really telling, you know what I mean? Like, we now know the motivations. But, Jason, I was listening to you talk about that, and I was thinking a lot about how so much of, like, this idea of feeling grounded with this episode also comes from this episode is a lot easier to slip on if you're, like, in that way where this is so relatable, right? Like, not only is sleep something, like, we all do, but also, for the 50% of the population that's listening with a spouse or somebody that you regularly share a bed with, you start to, like, understand, and you could really see yourself in this situation, right? And being able, that creates a separate type of immersive story, because it's one thing to be able to see yourself reflected in a character. It's another thing to see yourself reflected in a situation, right? And so I think that really does sort of, it's almost like bonding glue, right? It really bonds you to the story and to the universe because it takes such a macro story and creates such a microcosm, right? In that way, like where it's so small. So I do enjoy that aspect of it. Does feel very personal probably for some people in a way where, somebody definitely put that episode on this morning and was like, my co-star said that I was going to sleep fine. And then I'm like, the omen's here, honey. You're not sleeping tonight. You know what I mean? Those dreams are coming. But, like it probably feels so deeply personal for somebody who was just waiting to listen to that and then was like, why was that me with my husband last night? What's going on here? Is it static shift? But truly, I do think it's just so relatable. And that's part of maybe the draw to this episode in some ways, and part of, I don't know, for those of you that were in it, I'm like, was that any part of, like, were you able to maybe play this out more so in your real life than you would, you're right, Rob, like more of a science experiment type of deal, right? I don't know how many of us have been science experiments in our real lives, but I'm just saying that that's a real lived experience, right?
Guess it depends on which girlfriend you ask. No, I'm kidding.
hurt.
Got her.
I was happy to give that one. It was fine. It wasn't too bad.
Getting to the question about acting and kind of how I do want to get into that a little bit later in this conversation, just because I want to touch on one thing first while we're still talking about it being relatable, and that is there are a lot of little details in the dialogue that make I think one of the things is being relatable to the characters. The other is making the world feel lived in. Things like, it's hard to describe, but everything feels shifted over is one of my lines. And then I say, you remember that mark over by the headboard? When I'm dreaming, that's not there. The carpets are, brown instead of green. I just don't feel like I belong there. It feels like that dream is trying to reject me or push me out. I think that not only that doesn't just connect us to the characters, but it connects us more to the world, because I don't know about y'all. I have definitely had those circumstances where I know I put a gouge in a wall somewhere. Like I dropped a fork or something, and I know that it chipped the paint, and I'll go and 3 weeks later I'll look and that it's gone, and I'm like, like this is real life. It's not a dream, bleeding in. It's like I'm pretty sure there was something there, and then through your memory just messing with you, it's actually on the other wall, right? it's there. It's just not on the wall you thought it was on. That happens to me, not like all the time, but it's happened to me several times in just normal life. So I'm sure that's happened to other people as well. I love how the little details in the dialogue like that connect the listener, at least me as a listener, to the world as well as the characters. Anybody else have experiences with those?
I was going to say, like, wasn't there like an episode of The Twilight Zone where they had like the little blue men where like there would be the scuff, but it wasn't there anymore? Or I know I put my phone right here and my keys right here, and then they completely disappeared because you turned your back on them and the little blue men like took them away. So I thought a little bit about that when I was re-listening to this. But yeah, there's definitely times where I'm like, no, I absolutely did this. It was right here and it's not there anymore. And I always blame the little blue men.
It also reminded me of, have you guys seen Dead Like Me? The series Dead Like Me?
Love that show.
If you haven't, I suggest watching it because it's awesome.
Today. It's so good.
Basically, she's, go watch it. It's amazing. But not the movie. Watch the actual show.
Okay,
anyway.
I'm queuing it up right now during the podcast. Continue.
Anyway, but she is basically a reaper, a grim reaper, and there's like these little gremlins that go around and they like pull a plug on something, and it causes this chain reaction in which this person dies, and then she has to go reap their soul. So just the little things like moving and shifting around that kind of reminded me of that also. So
also,
love
do you know
that.
how many people I had to kill for these Manolo Blahniks? 5. That's from like episode 2 or something.
5 people.
It's actually there. I'm actually doing a quote for once.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I love it.
I was being funny.
Jason, sorry, Jennifer. Continue.
That was it.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, you seem your video's lagging a little bit, so I can't tell if you're about to talk or not. So Jason, when you were writing the episode, was I imagine with the overarching story that you have going on, a lot of this was somewhat intentional to kind of point out details and describe the experience, but was it also intentional to, like, were you actively thinking, I'm trying to connect people? We already talked a little bit about connecting to the characters, but to the world. Were you like, if I add this little detail, it's probably going to draw people in who have had an experience like this before?
Yeah, I think that was there at the very least on a subconscious level. I mean, even if a person doesn't they themselves have issues sleeping, we all know somebody who has like terrible time sleeping. So I mean that right there, that's pretty ripe for kind of mining that. And it's not exactly the first time it's been done either. But I wanted to combine, because I think there's a special, it's a special kind of misery when you can't sleep. It really, and I mean, you can look at physiologically, it's really, really terrible for a human being to chronically be short on sleep.
Are you talking directly to me, the mother with, 2 babies who I still wake up with in the middle of the night? Because it feels like you're talking directly at me.
Same. My 5-year-old still comes into bed in the middle of the night.
No, I literally tell people, I'm like, I can handle anything until I'm sleep deprived, and then I cannot handle one single thing.
Right. And it's not because of some fault or flaw of yours. It's not because you don't have enough patience or you're not trying hard enough. It's not any of those things. It's because you're a human being who has limitations. And that, thank you, Tiffany and Danielle both, for chiming in, because that proves my point exactly. We've all got, we could probably go take the rest of the hour and just tell stories either about ourselves or people we know who've been afflicted with this. So I think right there, and this was another episode that I just took the name of a song by Graveyard Club, and I just made it the title of the episode. So it sort of started with the title Dreamland. But I think when you combine that that sort of hopelessness that comes from being chronically sleep deprived, along with the vulnerability of both of the characters, both Corey and Mandy, and then you take those things and combine them with something outwardly nefarious. That was my whole goal with this, because I mean it's really in a very real way it's going from very bad to much worse, because this is I don't want to skip ahead too far, but there are individuals and groups who are directly benefiting from this poor man's misery. And not just the poor man, but Mandy too. She ain't getting any sleep either, you know? So, but I wanted that kind of connection to the outer world to be more implicit, I think, because you don't get that directly in the episode, but I do think even if you're not like doing like Rob might do, is sit there and really think hard and like sketch it out and theory craft and everything. I
You mean
think
conspiracy
by the time you get
theories?
to the I don't think you have to be told that. Like I don't think anybody needs to spell out what the thing feels like. And that's what I was
I
going
mean, I think
for.
everybody knows that feeling of desperation when you desperately need sleep and you know your body is going to betray you. Like you just know it's not going to happen, whether that's going to bed when you're not feeling well or you do have insomnia, you do have those kinds of issues, right? There's nothing more your body wants than to rest, and then to have it like taken away from you when that's all you ever want is so difficult. So difficult. So I think that desperation of just that simple pleasure of sleeping is really apparent in this episode.
And
It's
I think
even worse when you're not able to sleep. Oh, sorry, Jennifer.
You're good. You're good.
You're delayed by,
I know.
I think, a couple seconds. You go first, because I know you had something to add to this, but
Well, yeah, just,
Go.
to go on, not just the desperation, but like when you're sleep deprived, any little thing, you're just so much more like hypersensitive to. And so like that paranoia of like, what do you mean by that?
and her internet dropped. So we're going to continue
no.
on
Still on.
without her for now.
Her
when she
nightmare
pops back-
came true. Sorry, it was really setting itself up for there. But one thing, if I can, let me just jump in real quick. Also,
Sure, Jennifer Scribner.
yeah, yes, you know me. So you want to? I don't know why, but it made me also think about to touch back to putting like the humanity in the forefront of this episode. The phrase, make your dreams a reality, and I guess in the beginning of this episode, I was like, but what if your dreams weren't good and they were still becoming reality? Like, at what point does that become a nightmare? And that idea that, like, even Danielle and I, before this, we were having such a complex and funny conversation about dreams, right? All these things that you interpret your subconscious, like funny dreams our siblings have had, stuff like that. And yet, we can talk so, I feel like, philosophically in such a positive way about this, but what if it wasn't positive, right? Jen 2.0!
Hey, I'm back.
But,
Yeah,
like,
it's
what
not
if it wasn't positive? What if the dreams weren't good? And so that does make me think about, like that idea of dreams becoming a reality, but them not being a good reality that you want to live, and yet they're still yours, right? Like, that still came from you. So there's just... I don't want to say that's ugly, but I'm like, that's so messy to have to deal with. And there's so many things that I feel like touch on that for somebody like myself who, like, I don't know, like the dreams, the realities crossing through them. It's even spookier. It led me back to, I'm feeling spooky. Yeah, no, I'm turning the volume all the way down. Thank you again, Maestro.
Jennifer, want to take another stab at what you were saying before you were so rudely interrupted by your internet?
I know, stupid internet. Yeah, I was just thinking, like whenever I am sleep deprived and hypersensitive and any little thing, like what do you mean by that? Like I'm much more paranoid about things. And so that's what really resonated with me in this episode. It's like, is somebody out to get me? No, I'm just being paranoid. I'm just being sleep deprived. But what if there actually was somebody out to get you?
No, it's terrifying to think about.
100%. Now, being sleep deprived... Oh, Aaron, go.
Make your point, then I'll jump in because I'm kind of shifting gears.
Okay, yeah. So being sleep deprived is one thing. It's definitely not fun. I do so many things that I am very often sleep deprived, which is fine. I've learned to just kind of go with it. It's even worse when you are sleep deprived because of bad dreams. Because not only are you exhausted, but you're also scared. So depending on the dream, you might be scared, anxious, upset, angry. So it's a lot of not only not being kind of on the level or level-headed because you're sleep deprived to begin with, but also having the emotional weight on top of that. So, I really, in acting as Corey, felt that, and that's kind of what I wanted to put into the character. Confusion, a little bit of frustration, kind of...
So, like, the thing that you need is your enemy. Like, I'm sure that's probably how you felt. Like, the thing that you need is the thing that you are ultimately against, right, in that way. And I'm sure that felt tough to have to play because that would be really rough in real life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've not recently, but I've experienced being almost this sleep deprived before. So I'm not going to say it was easy to get back into this headspace, but I've experienced it. So being able to kind of draw on that and remember back to when I couldn't think straight, what is that like? And trying to even avoid the solution because he doesn't want to call the doctor. Not that I think the doctor is the solution in this case, but generally speaking, you're not thinking rationally. You still want to try to solve it yourself as opposed to asking for help. And so I brought that into Corey as well, basically being like, I don't want to call the doctor because like I want to figure it out. I don't feel like he's helping me, that kind of a thing. So, yeah. Aaron.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of shift gears in relation to what you were just saying regarding, the sleep deprivation and how it's affecting your character. Canonically, I loved episode 3. It's a beautiful setup. I loved My Friend Sally, but out of everything canon that we've heard, also in the background, what we've performed up to said point, I had to say this episode's my favorite because, number one, it's so relatable. But number two, out of all the performances that you and Tiffany have given to this point, I think this particular one hits home with me. It's so believable. I could feel both of your frustration. I could feel both of your fear. And I find it interesting that we have spent roughly 20 minutes talking about sleep deprivation, but one thing we haven't talked about is just, and for anybody listening who's age 38 plus, you'll get this. When things start to change in your life and you get older, you start feeling things that aren't familiar. And you want to call
like
your
doctor.
You want to, Robert.
Sorry.
Is this another like a repeat of like the 12, 13-year-old talk that we had? Is this?
My gosh.
There's going to be changes in your body.
And she just shifted that into a completely wrong direction. Should I just pass this on to the next person now? Can I just shut up now?
I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
like after age 37, age 38, things just start to get a little weird. Joints start to hurt. Maybe your stomach starts to get a little more upset. Things aren't exactly regular. Maybe you get a little blurry in the left eye. Like just age starts to hit you. And depending upon the type of person you are, you're either going to say screw it or you're going to want to call the doctor or go to the ER every single time a feeling comes and it's like, what is wrong with me now? What is wrong with me now? And that's the vibe that I kind of get from this episode because Tiffany's character is like, no, the doctor said at any time and you need to call. you know? Especially in today. I can't imagine how it was for adults in the 80s, but especially today when we do nothing but Google our symptoms, and all of a sudden that stomach pain you're feeling is automatically colon cancer and it can't be anything else and you're going to die in the next 3 days, as opposed to going to your doctor and your doctor says, dude, it's a little IBS, you'll be fine, you know? But Dr. Google says you now have cancer for every sniffle and every pain you feel. So this episode is absolutely relatable in that sense. It's like, okay, adults feeling unfamiliar things. I don't want to call the doctor, but I've been on these meds for so long and I don't feel like these meds are doing anything for me. And that's excruciatingly frustrating. As somebody who is on medication, I mean, I take medication for, diabetes related stuff because I'm a big fat slob.
You are not. Take that back, Aaron. Take it back.
Okay. A humongous fat slob. Got it.
No,
Stop it.
Stop it.
One of the other things with medication is our bodies do tend to get accustomed to whatever dosage we're at.
Yes, it does. And there's acclimation, and then you get to this point where it's like, okay, these meds are supposed to do something for me. And the meds are not doing anything for me anymore, or it's getting worse, right? So now you're hesitant because you don't know what you want to do, and mentally you want to get back to this stage of normality. And I felt that from you because it's like, oh my God, when can I just go to sleep and have regular dreams like a regular freaking person? And it's gotten so bad you just don't want to call this doctor. And the wife, thank God, she's like, no, babe, you need to call him right freaking now. Jason, in regards to Tiffany's and Rob's performance in really humanizing those feelings, not just about the sleep deprivation, but the whole just fears because your body's doing something and you don't want to call this doctor, what did you think about their delivery?
Now, full disclosure, I don't recall the recording of this particular episode. But I know that more recently when I went back and did kind of the full production on episodes 1 through 5, it was, I do remember, because I think I had, actually, I believe this one, I only had one take from each of them. But I listened back to it and I thought, no, it's all there. Everything I wanted to be there because I try to, like when I'm writing and when I'm directing both, I always want to provide the orientation and the direction of motion, but I don't want to ever try to dictate. And then, on these words here, you're going to demonstrate fear. But then when you get to this half of the phrase, like, I don't think you get good performances that way. So I think as we've talked about on this podcast before, it goes back to trusting the actors, the people who have the roles, that they're going to understand the emotional direction that it's going and take that and then make it into a real thing. And
trust each other enough, right? Like their relationship, like their dynamic and their friendship as colleagues, even outside of us just being like pals, their professional relationship, you can tell when two people do have really great chemistry together and their reads are so solid because they know each other, they can play off each other, really well. And I think about other actors who I've heard talk about that, right? That sometimes their dynamic of the show or whatever that it is that people love so much, a lot of that is dependent on, for some people, that dynamic. It can create something so special, right? Because how often do you really get the chance to work with another actor that you know really well and you can think of, you can understand their characters better, right? And therefore understand their performance more. And I feel like that's also so evident in that way, right? That you could probably give them a bit more leeway in that way because you know that they know how to work well together. They have worked well together and that their relationship, does kind of predicate the trust that can be there even in the characters they're playing and their characters' relationships too.
That's why they have chemistry reads, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might have two phenomenal actors who just don't play off of each other well. Maybe each one of them is trying to command the scene, or maybe neither one of them wants the scene, and so there's just a lack of energy as opposed to too much energy, or whatever the case may be.
Or they just plain out don't like the other person, which I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
I get, but yeah, no.
And Tiffany and I hate each other, so that's exactly
Yeah.
where...
That's so apparent in this episode. Yeah, you just feel the hate dripping from your voices.
I really wanted to capitalize on the animosity that is so apparent there.
No,
That's why they're a married couple.
100%. 100%. I do want to, before we continue on just too far... Yeah, Tiffany, go.
I want to say something about my character. So the urge to have you contact your doctor is actually pretty personal to me. My sister passed because she didn't want to go to the doctor anymore. I don't want to be poked anymore. I don't want anything else. I'm tired. I'm done. I don't want to go. Right? So, and I'm like, if I just maybe could have told her, like, come on, let's just go. Right? Maybe she might still be here. But that to me, and that like feeling of, well, you have to try. You just have to try.
Yeah,
Something's got
sorry
to
to
give,
hear
and
that.
you've got to try. Oh no, it's okay. It was her choice, right? And I cannot condemn anybody for the choice that they made for themselves. But it's still sadness there. But that is where that came from for this particular character, for this particular scene, was just, you got to try. Like, it's better than not trying.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I'm sure we've... Oh, Jason, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think going back to what Hannah was saying earlier, I don't have any story that directly impactful, Tiffany, like you do. However, again, I know situations where this conversation has taken place, and it was very potentially meaningful, and maybe depending on the results of the conversation, it may have been consequential. And I wanted that in there to. I think as we go through the rest of the season, I think you're going to find, or you're going to see the ways in which these events, this dynamic with Corey and Mandy, I think you're going to see how that plays against the larger, I guess, nefarious forces in this world. And I think you're going to see Corey and Mandy's situation in a much more comprehensive and deeper light later in the season when you find out more about what was really happening there.
Very
so
cool.
I wanted to make it resonant in the moment, but I also wanted there to be an additional resonance within the larger narrative.
I like that. And I know we talked about this, I think, in the last episode about kind of planting the seeds and then connecting the threads so that we can have those aha moments or those, oh, wow moments. So it's I love the amount of planning that's going into this. Aaron.
And before we move on, listeners, ladies and gentlemen, full disclosure here from all of us to all of you. If you feel like there's something going on, make the appointment. Don't wait. Just go make the appointment.
100%.
Call somebody or reach out. Find somebody to help in the situation that you find yourself in.
It doesn't matter what it is. A mental situation, a physical situation. Just make the appointment. You won't regret
Somebody
it.
always wants to help.
Right.
Whether you think so or not, someone always wants to help.
And remember the words, second opinion. If you're not satisfied with what you receive, second opinion.
Absolutely. And
Okay, moving on.
Just a reminder, too, you're not alone. There's always going to be someone who has either a similar journey or a similar story or something that they've gone through the same as what you're going through. And it's so empowering to know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. Speaking of not being alone, I'm sure we've all had some pretty bad nightmares. Does anybody want to talk about their least favorite or most... I had a recurring nightmare when I was a kid. And it was not like life-threateningly scary. It was just super duper creepy. And it was one of those dreams where you weren't sure if you were actually awake or still asleep. So you'd wake up, quote unquote, but you'd still be asleep. But you felt like you were awake in your bed in your room. And so I would, quote unquote, wake up in the middle of the night and look at my bedroom doorway where there would be a figure. Just like I couldn't make out who it was, what they looked like, anything about them. And as silly as this sounds, they had a pocket watch that they would have dangling, and they would be basically trying to steal my soul with the pocket watch. I don't know how I knew that, but this is like this, and I would have this dream repeatedly, at least a couple times a week when I was like, let's say from age 12 to 16. It was terrifying. And then it kind of stopped. It went away for a bit. And then when I was 17, 18-ish, I had moved houses, but I had this same dream where I woke up, but I woke up in my old room. And that's how I instantly knew it was a dream, because I was like, this is not my bed. Like, this is my bedroom, but from, when I was 16 or whatever. And that fucking guy or girl or whatever was in the doorway with the watch. And I was just like, no, we're not doing this. So I basically just got up and like beat the shit out of them. Never had that dream since.
Amazing. Rob was like, you know what, guys? The way you get over your fears is you jump them and then you shake them. He's like, so then I had that guy standing in my doorway and I fucking shanked him. I'm like,
100%.
I love that idea, though. I'm like, why? That is, and today on Leadership Podcast, I'm going to be telling you guys.
It's so Rob.
Exactly
it really is.
You're tuned into the Leadership Signal. Let's talk about,
It is.
Let's punch some people in the face.
That's so badass, though. I love that.
But this immediately took me, and I had actually forgotten about that dream until I was reading for this, and I was like, oh, I remember that. Does anybody else have any kind of a spooky dream? Or Tiffany, I saw your face light up when I started mentioning this, so go for it.
Yeah, I get crazy dreams sometimes. But when I was probably adolescence, right, I would have this dream where I was in some kind of like gravel pit situation. I don't remember it vividly when I'm awake, but every time I have it, it picks up from where it left off. It's bizarre, and it's almost like this recurring, this continuing story that goes with this. And I've actually written down, I have a journal somewhere where I've written it down after that night. And I'm like, this could be an epic thriller novel, because it's weird.
The Gravel Pit Podcast coming from Articul8 Studios.
And now that I'm talking about it, if I take magnesium tonight, I guarantee you I will have a recurring like continuation of this dream. That's part of the reason I don't take magnesium at night, because I have crazy dreams.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what happens when you get to the end of that story.
I don't know, and I kind of don't want to, because I feel like it's tied to my lifeline, and I don't want.
Have you tried shanking the gravel pit?
No, but I am like consciously aware that this is a story, but then also present in the story.
Yeah.
Like I'm aware that it is happening, and it's a dream, but I'm a character in it, and it's weird.
That's wild.
Anyway.
And
That's
for
wild.
all our listeners wondering, if you want to donate money to our group therapy fund, that would be more than useful, because as you can see, we are not all one plum short of a fruit pie. However,
Exactly.
though,
We're all
I'm like, you guys need
traumatized.
help. I don't dream about anything. You guys are crazy. Every one of you. I'm like, no.
Yeah, if
Well,
you
most nights I don't dream. And for a long time, in my 20s or whatever, people were like, well, what do you dream about? I'm like, I don't have dreams. I don't. Until I do. And then they're bananas. So, yeah.
I love that your dreams are like a threat. You're like, I don't dream. But when I do, I dream Dos Equis. Like, I love that you're like, when I do, I dream enough for a journal entry. I'm like, yeah. Okay. I'm like, heard.
And I don't journal. Like, I'm not a journal person.
No,
but this one, I'm like, I have to write this down.
I know.
So anybody wanting to send help, you can always email shanked at Articul8 Studios.
No, don't do that. We don't
Danielle,
have that.
you have a story?
Well, I don't know about a story per se. Just more of like, obviously, I have an interesting take on dreams. I do think that they mean things at times. And there are some dreams I'll wake up from and I'll immediately have an interpretation and know exactly what it's relating to, like an issue in real life. But that's just me. But yeah, I remember the first night sleeping in a new house when I was a kid. I was not even 7 years old. I had my first ever like nightmare that I remember. And it was of a dinosaur chasing me in a truck. Like I was in the truck and they were trying to get through the truck. And I didn't even watch
Like Jurassic Park?
Kind of, but I had never seen Jurassic Park. I'd only probably seen like, kid dino themed stuff or whatever. But yeah, I knew it was like this T-Rex and I was just like trying to drive away and the truck wasn't driving, my legs weren't running, and then I wake up and my legs start kicking and flailing because it's like the signal from my brain finally got to my legs of run. It was a little too late. I was already awake at that point. And because it was the first night in a new house, we were like all on the floor in sleeping bags, like with my whole family in the living room because it was a fixer-upper house. And my mom was like panicked and like, stop kicking. I was like, it's a dream. It's okay. I'm fine. But yeah, no, I will write down dreams that I have because I used to dream all the time and they were so vivid. But now I don't dream very much because I'm waking up. And if I'm woken up from a dream, I don't remember it. But I know I still dreamt something because I can vaguely get like a shadow for like 2 minutes and then it's gone. So, but that's me. So I try to write them down if they're especially vivid.
I hate those especially when they're good dreams.
Yes, it's the worst. It's
like when you have a great dream and you're like, oh man, Yep.
Yeah.
And then you forget it.
I tried to write them down, but I haven't had a vivid one in a long time.
So anybody else with any kind of like spooky dreams or creepy things that go on when you're sleeping?
I guess I can admit to one reoccurring dream that I had as I was like, losers that dream. I was like, well, you're that loser, Hannah, actually. One time I also had a reoccurring dream when I was in my 20s for like a couple of years. It was the same dream. If I ever dreamed, it was that dream. And I was in like a really big house and all the doors and the windows were open. And bears are trying to come in. And I, like, have to shut them fast enough. And, like, spoiler, I never did, right? So then I'd be
oh, no.
like, waking up to, like, being savagely mauled by a bear. And then it kind of just went away. Never got any, never closed all those doors, honey. In fact, I was like, open them. I'm like, bring the bears in. But yeah, it's so funny that you brought that up because I was thinking like, wow, a reoccurring dream that I also used to have. That was the same dream I would have. I could never like close them fast enough. You know what I mean? Like I was always trying to like close the doors, everything. And yeah, no. And it's so strange because I feel like I could describe the house now, even as like an adult. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, yep, it was so pretty out there. Then the bears came in, but it's so weird how dreams stick with you like that. Like in my 20s, I'm like, that was like over 12 years ago. Like, why would I have, you know what I mean? Like a decade ago, I still remember those bears.
Well, you know what they say, right? Trauma is what sticks with you. All the good stuff you forget. That's why like at the end of the year, don't focus on the bad. Literally go and write down all of the things you accomplished during the year so that you can remember them because you will probably have forgotten a very good portion of the things that you actually accomplished.
Stop talking directly to me.
I am talking to everybody.
I was going to say
another dream. I have another dream situation, but it wasn't my dream. It was my son's dream.
Ooh.
Okay. So my son is 5. This probably happened when he was 3. He would wake up at night and I could hear him in his room and he was just kind of babbling in his room. I'm like, what are you doing? So I go in there and it's dark, right? And his sound machine's on, which is like trickling water, okay? And he is just in the center of his room babbling. He could talk at this point, right? 3-year-olds can talk, but he was incoherently babbling. And he would go over to his chair and like babble at it, and then go over to his dresser and then kind of babble at it. And I was standing in the doorway, and I am like, I say his name, and he turns around super fast. And I'm like, oh my God. And this is like 2 a.m., right? And then he looks at me and like drops his shoulders and like scurries over to me. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my
What?
goodness.
No,
That is
no.
horrifying.
I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, what kind of the ring shit are you telling me right now?
And
I'm
you-
like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You know what? No, tube's tied. I'm
And
like,
he still
he-
lives in your house?
He was not, yeah,
Yeah,
was
that's
not
what I was
coherent.
thinking.
he was not coherent. I was like, okay, this is, I'm putting my fear aside. I'm like, no, this is my son. Okay. Like reassuring myself, like, no, this is my kid. So I got down on my knees and I like kind of grabbed him, and he was like struggling and he got really, really upset. And so I just kind of picked him up, put him in his bed, put his blanket over him, and that was the end of it. Yeah.
Wow.
God,
He
it's
was
like
probably-
that movie effect that they do where like they've been doing it since like 2010, but they put like the antagonist far at the end of the room, and then it runs like right at the camera, and then it does that weird unnatural shaking thing. What was the name of that movie? House on Haunted Hill was the first movie they did that in, where it had the long shot of the creature, and then it was all like just like
Yeah.
This is why I do not watch horror. But because to me, that's like, okay, he
Yeah.
was just in a very intense dream and probably didn't even realize you were there and or was just half asleep and was just in his own little head, and that was it. And that's why I don't watch
Yes.
horror, because I'm like, I don't need any additional fear on top of anything
yeah.
else.
Dude, I don't watch horror either, but I was raised
also,
Catholic.
Like
so.
creepiness factor for me. I don't watch horror either. So like those like effects and stuff, like that's, I don't know. No, thank you. But yeah, the fact that he like dropped his shoulders and like scurried over to me, hunched over, was like the creepiest thing. But also when I put him to sleep, I still rock him to sleep because he won't let me not rock him to sleep. In the dim light, I don't know if you guys have like looked at somebody's face in dim light and how it kind of morphs and shifts and changes. I have some of the most
my
horrific
gosh.
hallucinations with his face.
It's so true. Now they don't morph into bad things for me, but like I'll be looking at my kid's face and it's like super dark and I'm holding them or rocking or whatever. And then it's like all of a sudden I can't see their closed eyelids. And I'm like,
Yes!
what the heck? Where'd they go? I know they're there, but like, where did it go? Did it gone?
It's so weird.
It's like, or the face just darkens, and I'm like, I know it's my eyes playing a trick on me, but gosh, their face, yeah, totally get that.
Yeah. It's
my
weird.
God, not thinking about your kaiju of a child running. I'm like, oh my God, I will never be able to unsee this image in my brain right now. I can't even, like, that would scare me so bad. I would not, like, I can't imagine. You're so cool. Like, this is why we call you the queen, is because I'm like, I can't believe you lived through that. Oh my God. Like, your own flesh and blood could betray you.
It's like a changeling almost. It's like I have a changeling for a child. And
Yeah.
And making
Not only did Tiffany not freak out, but she exorcised the demon that had possessed her son by tucking him in for the
With
night.
hugs.
Can we just like acknowledge how wholesome that is?
Yeah, be thankful she
It's
does the
because
same
it's
thing
her
for me, people.
baby.
This world would look different, okay? I'm also
It's-
grateful. Thank you, Tiffany.
It's because it's her baby. It's like, of course
Mm-hmm.
you're going to see, well, we see a lot in our kids, but
Does
we're
he
going
sleepwalk
to choose
still?
to see the good.
no, so this happened when he was like 3-ish. It happened a few times when he was 3. Never quite to that extent, but he would wake up and be completely incoherent and unconsolable. Like and he was not awake.
That's like real
100%
sleepwalking,
not awake.
right? Like when people, like my sister for like a small period of time, like one time she unlocked the door, went outside and slept on the rock outside in the front of the house, like all by her little self, right? Because they're like, you know what I mean? And think about my mom being like, could you imagine just asleep like a little Disney princess, like a little cherub fairy outside on the rock outside, you raccoon? Like just...
No, as soon as he learned how to open up the door, we put that top latch on so he couldn't open the front door. But yeah, it's and it's something kids do. It's their body, like sleep regulation, and their body's growing, and they've got all kinds of stuff happening. They can have like these sleepwalking or sleepwalking events, but they're not walking. But yeah, it happened. It doesn't happen anymore, but it happened probably 8 or 10 times when he was around 3.
Wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jason, here's some fodder for you. Enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, I am taking copious mental notes right now.
I love it. Speaking of sleepwalking and dreaming and having terrible dreams, it is natural for us to want to try to kind of solve those problems. And as we talked about earlier in this discussion, Corey calls his doctor, Dr. Ross, and he talks to the receptionist who puts him on hold. Danielle, excellent job as the receptionist voice. You are just voice on phone for all of the episodes in Static Shift.
I really was. It was helpful because I could draw from real life experience of being a front desk receptionist. And although, Jason, I have to ask, how much editing did you have to do on my audio file? Because I ended up recording, we were doing like a Zoom recording. I didn't have my microphone because I was in the living room. I was crazy time of life. And I ended up recording on like these headsets here. I pulled the microphone down and, recorded off that. And then I heard the audio and I'm like, it's so bad. It was like all in the background and just everything. I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, no, it's fine. It'll sound more like you're on a phone. And I was, so how much editing did you have to do to that file to get it good?
It actually helped because the fidelity when you're talking on an old landline phone, right? Plain old telephone service. It's not very good. And like half of that is just like severely reducing the dynamic range. So you roll off both the low end and the high end, and then you boost the mids until they get kind of crispy, and you've basically got yourself a phone voice. By the time you do that, really any background noise is kind of inconsequential. And then I think I may have done one or two other small things, but I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to make a great phone voice. Because a phone voice it's not supposed to be clean. So if you had sent me a really pristine audio file, I would have had to do more work to dirty it up.
Okay.
So it all worked out.
Well, I'm glad because I was aghast at the time. I was like, no, I am a horrible, I call myself a voice actor and this, all the shame. But no, it helped to have real life experience of, thank you for calling the place that I work. This is Danielle Card. How can I help you today?
It was a great voice, and then we get the very awesome elevator music, which was very well chosen. Was that also? I know you've done the composition for the intro, kind of undercurrent music, and then the official theme song at the end. Was that something that you pulled out a keyboard and were like do 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 do, or was this a stock sound?
No. All of the music, and I do mean all of it, is originally composed and recorded by me. So
that's badass.
The hold music was something I was particularly proud of, because I listened back to it and I thought, yeah, if I had to hang around and just hear this for 5 or 10 minutes, I would be out of my mind at the end of it, because it's so mind-numbingly bland, which, that's what it's supposed to be, But yeah, I was very proud of the hold music that I cooked up.
Good job on that. And now we get to what I've been waiting for all discussion, which is Dr. Ross. I don't remember if we recorded with Aaron live. I know Tiffany and I believe, recorded together. I don't know if Aaron was available for that. I just don't remember. He might have been. But it wasn't this voice that I remember him doing when we recorded, if we recorded live. I love this voice because it's just unsettling enough to make him, Aaron, I mean, I'm going to have you obviously go into detail on this, but for me, when I was listening back to the episode, I was like, as soon as we got to Dr. Ross and you come on, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, whoa. Perfect voice for this role. It's unsettling enough to make Dr. Ross almost seem a bit mad scientist-y, but it has enough authority and confidence to make him seem like he's a doctor who knows what he's talking about and is just telling his patient what to do. Now, Aaron, do you want to dive in a little bit more detail on how you approached this role, and was this your first take? Did you do multiple takes? Do you remember if we recorded together? And then I don't remember any of this. So please, the stage is yours, Dr. Ross.
Well, hang on. Let me go get him.
Hurry. It's so nice to see you again. I'm so
I
glad
love
that
it.
you have these questions for me, and to be quite frank, no, it was not my first recording. As a matter of fact, it was probably the third. It depends on how
Amazing.
many times we double up on our medication.
So originally, and this was just a terrible happenstance. I did do an original recording months and months and months ago, and it was actually pretty terrible. It was like my really sad attempt at a Fox Kids Professor Xavier, which I don't know how Jason lost the files, but the files got lost. They're just gone. So he asked me recently. Yeah, I know, the quote's like, wow.
Jason, what a weird way to ask for pickups, man.
It's like, yeah, dude, your shit sucks so bad, you're re-recording the episode. No,
I'm kidding. Please continue. I'm going to step away for just a sec because I hear my dog doing something in the background. So I'll be right back. But you keep going. Tiffany, you have the call.
Okay, bye.
Got it.
Hurry back, Corey.
The files got lost, and Jason is getting the episode together, and it's been a long, long time. And he's like, dude, I need you to re-record the whole freaking episode. Okay. So I had to go back, read the entire script again. And I had forgotten, holy crap, what a fascinating story, and how awesome, and what a cool character. I'd like totally forgot what character I was. So I read through it, and I'm like, okay, I've been working on villain and character voices for a little while. What can we do with this? And then
There's this one that I just kind of have fun working with.
so I'm thinking, all right, well,
What if we humanize this voice a little bit and bring it down here and make him calm and collected and somewhat a little more intelligent than the person who's actually voicing him?
and it worked, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Dr. Ross, I wanted him to not be slimy, but also like that dude where it's like you hear him for the first time and you instantly raise an eyebrow. Like, the hell is this guy doing treating you, and why?
Like, this guy's got to be a bad guy.
This has got to be some kind of villain crap, you know? And it was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do because I got to stretch out and be something I'm not. So
Yeah, because I remember the first recording that you had, and it was very much, yeah, like you said, it was trying to be Dr. Xavier from the X-Men
yeah, it was
of the
trying to be
90s, right?
Yeah, I was trying to be the prof from X-Men. It's like,
And it wasn't-
It didn't land.
Well, it wasn't bad. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as you thought
To
it was,
me,
but
it
it wasn't. But I think what you did here definitely took it up a notch, and gave that feeling of, this guy is not on the up and up.
No. And
No.
and as the conversation continues, and I credit this 100% to Jason's editing, the timing of the responses. Oh my God. Because if you listen carefully, there's a tiny bit of delay between Corey asking questions and making statements and then the doctor responding. Like, he's really taking it in, formulating this response, and then hitting him with it. And at first, when I listened back when Jason was 100% done with the episode, it kind of struck me as a little calculated. Like, what is this? What is he having this doctor do? And the further into the conversation we get, it all starts to come together. Like, oh God, oh this is going to mean very, very bad things.
And combining that with the new voice that you did for it, I think just elevates it that much more.
Welcome back,
Absolutely.
Corey.
Yeah.
It's good to see you again. Did you go and take your second dose?
I did, actually, Dr. Ross. Thank you. It was... The dreams have been getting much worse.
Corey, I'm going to need you to stop being so emotional. Triple doses.
All right, so freaking villain. As Hannah would say, creep. Freaking creep. So, Jason, when you got the performance back and it was an entirely different voice at an entirely different angle, how did you feel about that?
I thought it was awesome. It was unexpected. I think I was probably expecting, that you were going to hew pretty close to kind of what the original recording had been, which I had. I mean, I still had a memory of kind of what you did with that. And then I got it back and I just as a listen through and I heard that first line and I was like, oh hell, here we go. Like, and then when I plugged it in and I'm glad you mentioned about the rhythm of that conversation, because I'm very, very glad you said something, because I did spend a lot of time and effort on getting that just right.
Creative ears know. We know. We understand. We get it.
That's right. Well, and really, I think generally I want people to not so much notice that, but to know what it feels like to listen to it, to feel that. Yeah, there's tension and there's uncertainty and there are all these things. And I really try my very best to use the rhythm of dialogue to really help tell the story. And I think it might be more apparent in this scene than just about anywhere else in the episode so far. But I didn't, like, I felt like especially Corey's lines were already pretty explicit. Like he's really laid bare. Like he's in a bad way and he does not have the energy to like lie about things. But I wanted to use the rhythm of that conversation to serve as the emotional undercurrent of the implicit things that are going on. Nobody uses the word dread, but there's definitely a sense of dread there. So that kind of thing. And I think too, like I really want there to be in any given scene, I want there to be a kind of a life of its own. I want the scene to breathe in a way that's natural for the scene. I want it to have its own rhythm and tempo and feel. So far in the series, there hasn't been a tremendous range of those different tempos and feels. That's something that's going to change a lot as we go through the next 5 episodes.
Honestly,
very excited.
The icing on the cake with that entire conversation for me was how it ended and how relatable the ending of that conversation was. Because how many times in our lives had we had conversations with a specialist or with a doctor and they suggest something and you get that feeling in your gut that you just know this advice is not going to help. Like you're so dead determined, like, this, are you blowing me off? Like, is this not serious to you? Like, because, I mean, I had back surgery, and before I had the surgery, I was dealing with a doctor who I felt like just did not take me seriously. And that, to me, is why Corey, at the end of the episode, is so relatable. because it's like, you want me to take another dose? I'm already feeling, this is getting worse. I don't like how I'm feeling, and you're asking me to take another. Corey,
Just do what the hell I said.
And it's like, no, don't do what he says. Go with your gut. Second opinion, and yeah, customer dissatisfaction times 100. So yeah, I totally.
Well, I guess I can come in tomorrow.
I know, right?
And see you there around 9.
That piece of performance, and then Tiffany, like, more icing on top of that icing. Like, what? Really? Like, no. So the way it ended up after the phone call, that's a chef's kiss. Just the way that was written out, the way it was performed, the dread, the certainty that it is just not going to get better. It even leaves, as a listener, it leaves you feeling like, damn, this is not going to get better for this guy. It just, wow, nah, no.
That was something I really appreciated about this episode, is because I think this was one of the first finished fully produced episodes that I listened to way back when, because I had a lot going on back then. I was very busy. I listened to them out of order. And I remember listening to the episode 1 and episode 2, and it left me with more questions than answers. And it was obviously wonderful storytelling, great acting, and it was very, very cool. But when I got to this episode, it was one of those things where I didn't have the answers to a lot of things, but there were a lot of answers that I got from this episode. I got this glimpse into this couple's life. We knew exactly what was happening, to them, even though we didn't have the answer, per se, and we'd hear the call with the doctor, quote unquote, but you knew just enough where you're like, I don't know. It just, even though there's so many vague answers, it felt like there were more answers to that episode, and I wasn't left confused. I was like, okay, I wonder where this is going, but I wasn't like, what just happened? It was very relatable. It was very, very clear in a sense.
It's all coming together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all coming together.
Yes. Yeah, I know we're just a little bit over an hour here, so I want to kind of wrap things up. But this is, I agree with Aaron. I think this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the series so far that's been released. We have a lot more coming up in the future that I'm very excited to hear. But yeah, at this point, this one, I agree with Danielle, Aaron, pretty much what everybody else said. It's very grounded. It gives us at least a little bit of answers, or it makes things start making sense. Where before, the hooks are there. You want to hear more. You want to try and get some answers, so you keep listening. But here we're finally starting to get some of that payoff, which I love. I think we got a little bit of that in episode 3 with Jerry and Matt, getting a couple of really, really light answers. Nothing really crazy, nothing very concrete. I think this is the first one where we're like, oh, there's a lot more going on, and it's terrifying. So, very excited. Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to add before we sign off for this week? All right. Well, this has been Static Shift, Resonant Frequency, Episode 5, Behind the Scenes of Dreamland. We hope you've enjoyed joining us. If you have any questions, comments, theories, or just want to send us a quick note about Static Shift, you can email us at staticshift@articulate.studio. And that's articulate with the number 8 at the end, .studio. If you'd like more information about Articul8 Studios, visit us on the web. Those links will also be in the show notes, articulate.studio. And if you'd like to inquire about working with any of us on your own projects, if you need any voiceover services or anything like that, please send us an email, contact@articulate.studio. Looking forward to episode 6 of Static Shift coming up this coming Wednesday, and the companion episode, Resident Frequency, coming out the following Saturday. From all of us at Articul8 Studios, have an excellent week, and we will tune in together soon. Goodbye, everybody. Say goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.